Tonight, we've got all the D23 news, some incredible Disney Plus shows, something amazing at the Disney parks, plus Spider-Man as part of the Marvel Universe. Really, it's in the news. That and so much more, Marvel TV Weekly starts now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Oh my goodness, it is indeed a very busy, jam-packed Marvel TV Weekly. I'm Christian Bladt with an all-star panel assembled like the Avengers. Elena Jordan.
Hey!
Right here, right next to me.
That's me, I'm Elena Jordan. I'm right here, right next to Christian.
That's right, and next to her, it is indeed Jeff Williams.
What up?
And yes, that makes it 3/4 of the Legion panel, and I'll say the good 3/4 of the Legion panel. And joining us in place of not so happy Cappy, Alexa Cappiello. We just wanted to see if she's watching because I know she's not. Over there on the end, the one, the only, that Zach Wilson.
Thank you. I'm just sipping on this tea that just got served in this room. Dang. No, I'm really excited to be here because there's so much to talk about.
There's just so much to talk about. And as most of you know, Zach and I are on the panel over on AfterBuzz TV Thursdays for Marvel Movie News. It's
on the Popcorn Talk Network.
It is indeed on the Popcorn Talk Network. That's why Zach is cross-promoting with the Popcorn Talk mug. And also...
Synergy.
Zach couldn't wait until Thursday to talk about all of this because we're going to talk about all of it again, and then some of it we'll talk about in greater detail. We'll touch on some of the movie stuff, but for once, the big news is the TV news. Thank you. So that would be for us. So the big news out of D23 was the announcement that, hey, were you already signed up for Disney Plus? Did you already want all the Marvel stuff they were going to have? Well, how about 3 more shows? And I heard that people who were there at D23, they were able to pre-purchase 3 years of Disney Plus for like $150. I was not there, so I didn't get to do it. I think it saves you like $40. I did some quick maths one of these other two. But anyway, it's still great. But we don't have it. We'll just have to get it the old-fashioned way. All share one password. That's how we have to get it.
No, Disney's
anymore
cracking down on
because
that.
and that even with your Hulu, Disney now has a thing because Hulu is attached with the Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Other people cannot use your account now. That's like the one drawback of Disney Plus is they have like super secure security measures where it's like
tracking
for
your
your eyes only.
They're really trying to get their money now.
Every Avenger must purchase their own login.
I wasn't at D23, but I was at Disneyland over the weekend, and just the way things are priced, I don't know how they make any money. It's all so affordably priced.
Yes.
In Star Wars Land, all of the souvenirs,
so cheap. That's
Everyone's walking out of there with their $26,000 R2 unit.
I did want that, by the way. It's life size.
We
It's
all
an
want
actual
it.
size of R2, and there's a huge sign like "Do not touch," so I didn't. Anyway, let's talk about
that. Though I would just be like, "All right, you're coming on all the rides with me, buddy." Like I'd be like going up to the front, like, "You need a strap in my R2. I just paid $2,000 for this."
Anyway,
he's riding Hyperspace Mountain.
They can gladly take my $69 a year for Disney Plus.
That'd be fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm already going to cancel Netflix because they don't have any Marvel stuff that I need. But let's talk about D23 and, of course, Disney Plus. And I could play a game where I went through all the shows and I started with Moon Knight and then did Ms. Marvel. And then for the last one, I mentioned that it was She-Hulk. And I could go down the line and get to Zach last. And the whole time I've known Zach Wilson, there's one character. I mean, look, you're passionate about a number of characters. I would say probably number one would be Doctor Doom. But, man, She-Hulk is right up there.
Well, for me, it's the character that I've been most wanted to see that I didn't think I would see in the MCU like this. Like Moon Knight is the other one that's like people have like longed for, and like whenever you say like, what TV show do you want Marvel to do? What random character? I always go to She-Hulk because I didn't think they would do it. Yeah, but they're doing it.
And my understanding of their deal with Universal for the actual movies is if they do a movie with the word Hulk in it, then Universal has to be involed.
Movies is the key word.
So that's why they were like, well, we're not doing a She-Hulk movie. We'll do a She-Hulk TV show. So that made sense to me. So for people who maybe don't know who She-Hulk is. I don't know how well the panel knows She-Hulk versus regular Hulk, but for everybody out in the audience, Zach, take a moment and tell us why She-Hulk is so great.
I'll keep this quick. But She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters, is a lawyer by day and a Hulk all the time.
Right.
Because that's like that, and that's one of the things that's really interesting that differentiates her from Bruce Banner is that she's Bruce's cousin, and that's like a blood transfusion, which is how she becomes the Hulk, because Bruce has to save her life. I don't know if we're going with that origin story or what we're doing for her here, but to me, what always fascinated me about the character is that she can fight crime, she can be a superhero, and she does, but she prefers her legal way of fighting crime. She or just being a lawyer, being like a defense lawyer. That's her like passion is working in a court of law. Her job. The superpowers are secondary to her character, and that's the part I love.
Always felt like she should be an environmental lawyer because she's already green. Like, I was just like, it's right there. It's right there.
I mean, she tries environmental stuff sometimes.
And I think a more recent iteration, I think it was Dan Slott had her basically, she sort of got stuck having to represent like superpowered cases or something. I saw him tweet about it. So it wasn't something that I'd read. That was something that they had her do at some point? Because that sounded like a good hook for the TV show.
It's interesting because She-Hulk has also taken on so many different forms depending on who's writing her. For her original run and a long time, she was very fourth wall breaky.
Right. Well, Ryan, if you go to the comic book that we have in there, She-Hulk #1, this is volume 2. This is John Burns. And this was the most fourth wall breaking thing that was part of the Marvel Universe that I ever read. On this cover, she's saying that this is her second series, and she's saying, this is your second chance. Buy my book this time, or I'm going to come to your house and rip up all your X-Men. And then when that book got canceled, it's basically the same picture, and she's like, all right, get those X-Men comics out, because this is your fault.
She's literally holding a copy of the first She-Hulk series
70s one
in this book.
And they would do stuff like, in a comic book when it's like, meanwhile, happening on the other side of town, you'd see something else happening. And when they switched to her, she and whoever she was fighting, they're all just sitting there like they're on a coffee break. And it's like, oh, we're back. And then they go back to fighting. So I thought it was just such a funny idea. And then on top of that, when I started reading comics, she was actually a member of the Fantastic Four because Ben Grimm decided he wanted to hang out on Battleworld where the original Secret Wars happened. And she was also part of the Avengers. So she's a character that I read in like major team books. And then this came along. I'm like, well, She-Hulk's great. I don't know why everybody doesn't love her. But specifically, I know you had a vision for what a She-Hulk TV series should be like, Zach.
Well, I really loved the Charles Soule run from a few years ago, and that one was super fun because it was She-Hulk quits her big fancy lawyer job because they are like basically shoehorning her into superpower focused cases, and she doesn't like what they're doing. They don't want to take on a small client that comes to her who needs defense because Tony Stark screwed her over. And like, it's one of those things where it wasn't really Tony Stark, but it was somebody in his company that like is well below his pay grade, so Tony didn't notice. But she tries the case, and then she moves into like her own practice, like in a like renting space in a building down the hall from Howard the Duck. It's just like, and so she's representing these small cases, and like that, it's a very comedic run. It's not, they don't really break the fourth wall the same way, but it's fun. It's a fun show.
And she has to talk to Howard about the bill.
She hires him as a PI.
That was a duck bill joke.
I heard
brilliant.
it, but
You're welcome.
I'm here for you.
That's why Jeff's there.
I was just trying to move forward and not acknowledge it, which is the most you can do for a fun.
Zach takes She-Hulk very seriously. But specifically, you would like to see a show that resembles a beloved show from about 20 years ago.
I want to see She-Hulk in the style of Ally McBeal.
Oh my God. Yes.
Like, that's the version of the show I want to see.
And by the way, I feel like Jane Krakowski would still be a great fit. I think that would work well.
Jane Krakowski as Jennifer Walters.
No. As somebody who worked in the office, and
as Howard the Duck.
As Howard the Duck. And let's see. Sorry, somebody in the chat had. Let's see. Jenna James is suggesting Gwendolyn Christie, who plays Allison on Glow, so she already has an idea for who it should be.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie.
As in,
I'm not sure.
Gwendolyn Christie doesn't play Allison on Glow.
No, Gwendolyn
Christie.
You know what?
Are you confused?
Here's what it is. It's broken up on 2 lines. Allison Brie, I don't think is a great choice for She-Hulk. She's just not built right. But then it also mentions Betty Gilpin, who is built to be She-Hulk.
And Gwendolyn Christie is from Game of Thrones, who would be phenomenal.
I think
Captain Phasma and Star Wars.
I think she's looking in the right place if from Glow. I think that there might be a glorious lady of wrestling who might be a great She-Hulk. What were you going to say, Jeff?
There's like a fan cast or whatever for Rosario Dawson for She-Hulk, and she kind of posted it. And I know she's played in the Marvel's universe, but like I would love that casting. I think that'd be a great.
I mean, she's great
fit for that. I don't know.
She's been in 4 different Marvel series.
Well, yeah,
but only as one character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, she plays the same person in that character.
Yeah.
It's like just going down the street and like working with Luke Cage.
When has that ever stopped them before?
That's what I'm
honestly?
saying.
I mean, we're going to talk about Gemma Chan in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought more Game of Thrones actors and actresses into the.
Clearly, they are.
Yeah, they are,
I wouldn't be surprised if She-Hulk
and
is
directors
one.
and writers.
And they clearly aren't like thinking too far away from the roles that those Game of Thrones people have played. They're just like, you held a sword one time.
Yep.
So,
the really interesting thing with She-Hulk is because she has had so many different iterations. I genuinely don't know what this show is going to look like because they could pull more from a couple of series like later because She-Hulk just again changes a lot depending on who's writing her. When she was just in the series Hulk a couple years ago, that was after she almost died, which is one of the events that led to Civil War II in the comics, but she comes back and her powers are a little bit broken. She's like back to being a normal looking human until she hulks out, much more in the classic style of Bruce Banner. And it's a story about trauma and how you handle that and how you grow and grow past it. It's a really well written part of the series, but it's a completely different take. It's still a comic book and still the character, so there is like bits of comedy here and there, but it's a much more serious take on the character.
Well, now Zach and I have expounded on our excitement about She-Hulk, but let me ask you first, Elena. Familiarity with She-Hulk, are you excited about this? Does it change your opinion on Disney Plus? Are you any more excited after hearing about it? What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm excited about it. I feel like, Zach, this is like your big thing. Like, I like lost it over the What If series because I was like, wait, they're going to go over like each one of them and it's all going to be different. It's going to be like Twilight Zone, but like for Marvel. Like, this is so dope. So, like, that was my big geek out. So they're like She-Hulk. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, Jersey City, yeah. So, I mean, like, I mean, I'm excited about it, but there are definitely other shows that I'm a little bit more excited for. I feel like they probably will do more of the standard She-Hulk where she is like hulks out all the time, because especially with how we saw Bruce in Endgame where it was like kind of letting us know, hey, this is a possibility, like it doesn't have to be one or the other, setting up, because even with that I was like, this seems very She-Hulk, and they're like, She-Hulk's coming, and I was like, now it makes sense, because they're getting us mentally prepared.
Because it's for Disney Plus, I think that's what they're going to do. If this was for network television, she would occasionally turn into She-Hulk, but usually just be a regular woman. Every once in a while something would happen.
Green,
and Jeff, your familiarity with She-Hulk and thoughts in general on this?
I'm more learning about it now, just because when I heard about it, I looked more into like her backstory and everything. So I was excited because I knew a little bit of it, like because I knew the name and everything. But out of the group, I would say that's the one I'm most excited for out of the 3 TV shows. But out of all of it together, I would say the Eternals is what I was looking forward to the most. But with She-Hulk, I was about to say the same exact thing. When I saw Bruce Banner in Avengers, that's how I kind of see She-Hulk going, just being strictly that. And like, just, I mean, I knew there was different iterations, but I could only see them doing it just strictly She-Hulk.
Well, let's move on to
which I would like to see.
Let's move on to the second on the list of 3 new shows, and that would be Ms. Marvel. And there are a few characters with the name Ms. Marvel. There was originally Carol Danvers, and then there was one who was also on the Fantastic Four, also Ben Grimm's girlfriend, because she was Ms. Marvel and then turned into a thing like Ms. Marvel. But then we have this one who's the current Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, and this is sort of like, this is the image you almost always see of her, as this one, because it's just trying to show you that She's fairly young. And look, there's the bus on its way to school. And I have very limited familiarity with this character. I've seen her interact with Spider-Man in the current Marvel's Spider-Man show on Disney XD, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So that's what I know her from. And I know that she's able to make these big, strong hands, which is not Ms. Marvel power from the past. But I think that this is a great project to do. I expected this to be a movie in like another 5 years, or beyond when it's going to be. I think it's a great idea for a TV show because, as you may or may not be able to tell from the image, I mean, this would be. I don't know. Was she the first Muslim character in Marvel Comics, or was she just the first one to have her own book?
I believe she was the first to have her own book. Mm-hmm. I do not think she was the first Muslim character in Marvel, but the first to lead a series, and definitely the longest running. And that, like she's had a series running since G. Willow Wilson launched her book a few years ago. Yeah. Do you want me to do a quick backstory?
As soon as I point out silhouetted animator in the chat, thank you for the $5 super chat. Because you gave us a super chat, I will point out that he thinks that I think they can tie the Gamma blood bags from the Incredible Hulk film into She-Hulk's origin. That's some good thinking ahead. Just like, hey, we got some Hulk blood. Anyway, now, thank you for that. And look, Silhouette Animator, if you want to do another super chat, I will interrupt our conversation again, even if it's only for 10 cents. But anyway, so let's talk about Kamala Khan now.
So Kamala Khan is an Inhuman. She there was the Terrigen mists and overswept the world, and so that's where her powers come from. I don't know if they're going to do Inhumans here because they're kind of not pretend that didn't happen. So here's the crazy twist: what if they made her a mutant? Because
I think that's what they are going to actually.
They were bending all of the mutants to be Inhumans because they didn't have mutant rights. Now they got mutant rights back, but Inhumans is something they're not going to touch. So suddenly all the humans are turned into mutants. It would be super ironic and beautiful. But so she's from Jersey City. She is very Spider-Man-y. She gets these powers. She can grow in different ways. She stretches. So she can stretch her body and change her appearance. She basically just has malleable atoms, I guess. I'm not actually sure what the science reason that they've come up with is in the books. But this series, you guys might not get this, but it embiggened my heart that this is being made.
So that was a Simpsons reference.
No, that's what Kamala Khan always
says. She says
she's
that?
embiggen!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, hopefully they don't use that.
That's her catchphrase.
Yeah,
they have to
they
use
will
it.
use that.
But it's a Simpsons
people have been
reference.
pulling for
And
this
they own the
for a
Simpsons
long
now,
time.
so
People have been since basically the first introduction of this character. There's been a Twitter campaign to have it on camera. I was with you. I thought that it was going to be a movie and it was going to be way later on.
And I think that I felt like they were going to introduce the character in a team movie, and you'd see a little bit of her, and then that would be sort of the backdoor pilot, as it were. Then we would get the movie. So I think being committed to this character,
social media push that did it.
I think that you're right. And then this is another one that I'm going to ask you, Jeff. So this is the character that I'm the least familiar with of these three, this iteration of Ms. Marvel. What do you think about this?
I think it'll be cool to have a younger feel to it, just like a Spider-Man feel, because only God and Marvel and Sony know how that's gonna go down. But but it'd be cool to see that kind of the street friendly kid version on TV, as well as potentially in movies. And I read something along the lines that she might be doing moving with the or Captain Marvel and going in that movie and that kind of stuff. That'd be cool to see.
See, the only thing about this is because they're also doing WandaVision, and they already announced that they're gonna have Monica Rambeau in it. They're gonna have a grown Monica Rambeau. So if you're gonna already have a grown Monica, then how are you going to have a Captain Marvel reiteration with both of them at the same time?
Right.
Because that's the whole big thing that I was all excited about.
Monica may not be Captain Marvel yet.
Not be.
She might just be human, and then later on we'll see her become.
But it seems like if they're going to have her grown in WandaVision.
Ryan, can you go back to the logo for Ms. Marvel? Because there is something that you can notice very distinctly. But you're going to have to zoom in, but if you see what the period is.
That's what. So that's when I saw that. I was like, okay, but that kind of bums me out because I was really, really excited to have the Monica version. And I mean, I know it's really cool because having, the Muslim representation is awesome, but it's also Monica Rambeau was our first black girl, Captain Marvel.
And I think we'll get her too.
What we're likely to get is you're just going to get her as Spectrum.
Yeah.
And maybe she took over the role in the early 2000s or something if she had the powers at that point.
I don't like that as much.
This could be like introducing Monica in WandaVision. It could be the beginning of like threading through all of the threading a needle through all of these different shows, because you have a Captain Marvel in there, and then Miss Marvel pops up as like, because that's the other thing. I wasn't expecting Miss Marvel to happen until we got at least Captain Marvel 2 on the books, because I don't know that the general public knows about Captain Marvel yet. Maybe they would after Endgame. But
I think they definitely do.
But how would they? Think about it. In the 90s, when it was Captain Marvel, like the movie Captain Marvel, she never really is seen by anyone in the public eye. She's not a publicly known figure. We never hear about her in any of the other movies. So I think she just was gone in space for all that time.
But I feel like with Endgame now, with her being such a big, huge part of it, and then they even have the deleted scene of everybody taking a knee, and it's like very much like, hey, look, this is going to be a publicized thing, that it's presumed that the onslaught of reporters that are talking to the Avengers afterwards, they're going to be like, also Carol. Like, they're not going to be like, here's our space bitch, she goes back out to space. Like, you don't need to know anything about her.
Well, that's the thing, but we still haven't seen, like, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel on screen acknowledged to the public. So they'll have to rope her into this series to make the Miss Marvel name work.
Right. And just for our listeners that are only listening to the audio, what I pointed out when we zoomed in on the logo, it is the Captain Marvel symbol that is the period in Ms. Marvel. We should move on to Moon Knight now, which is another shocking revelation that all of a sudden we're getting all these extra shows. And what we're seeing here, now this is the first series of Moon Knight, the comic book version. And it's a complicated character, and he's another one of those guys that has had his own book a few different times, and it'll be like, you know, modestly popular, but it's never huge. He's not like a major breakout character. I think that he's well suited for a TV series as opposed to a movie. I think that there's too much to pack in, kind of like our friend Legion. I don't think Legion was well suited for a movie. I think that it worked really well for that. So let me ask, Elena, are you familiar with Moon Knight, or is it just a name that you've heard thrown around?
A little bit, but not super. I mean, this is like another one that I wasn't like super duper duper into. So I was like, all right, cool.
Well, no, exactly. So it's because I don't know. As with so many characters in superheroes, it's sort of like, you know, it's sort of a take on Batman in a way. It's like, you know, rich guy decides to fight crime, but there's more to it than that. And
if you're gonna have a Dark Knight, well, we've got Moon Knight. So
right, exactly.
What up?
Yeah,
but not as dark, but you wouldn't be able to see it without the moon.
That's right.
So...
But this is, what if Batman was legitimately insane?
Yeah, it's like,
Batman is pretty insane, though. Like, you read some of these comics and you're like, damn.
But I mean, straight up has schizophrenia.
Yeah, like it's actually what if David from Legion became Batman?
Yeah.
That's actually what it is. Because he has these distinct personalities. If you go back to the Moon Knight comic book from _1, the three different men there, so he's not the lady on the end, but he at different times will feel like he's these other characters.
You don't know. Maybe sometimes he does feel like the lady on the end.
It's true. You know, it's 2019. If he feels that way, he should be allowed to do that.
My favorite like detail about Moon Knight is the reason he dresses in all white, because he fights crime at night.
Yeah.
But he wants his victims to see him coming.
Yeah.
He is a psychopath.
Yeah, he's just
he wants the bad guys to see him coming, so he dresses in all white.
That is great. That is a lot of confidence. I want you to know that I'm going to fight you and I'm going to win. But like, here, just get ready. That's some great confidence right there.
I'm glad that all of these announcements though were kind of lesser, like not pre-established things.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've already had everybody had time to lose their mind over Loki being like, oh, we're gonna see what happens after the Tesseract. Like,
yeah.
But like that's not the same time as these, so that they don't get overshadowed. Because it's like if all of these were announced at the same time, I know I would be guilty of like, I'm only going to talk about what if. Like, just straight up, just these. I think that the timing of this was very, very good. And having these three as the ones that are announced at D3, I thought was really good planning.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, like if they would have announced WandaVision at the same time as all these, I probably wouldn't even like looked into those. Especially like Moonlight, because that's the one I knew the least until I looked into it more. It's good to see another grounded and more like complex character from Marvel after Legion is not going to be. I mean, obviously Legion is gone now, so it'll be cool to see that type of show with the rest of the ones, because we kind of have the WandaVision and all those kind of feel still movie-like.
I just want it to be called something else. Every time we say WandaVision, it sounds like a Snapchat filter. I hate it. It's like we're watching in WandaVision.
Well, did you guys see the poster that came out over the weekend for WandaVision? A couple of posters like popped up like today. Like I think people were like getting them in line or something. Okay. But it looks like a 50s, like she's dressed in like 50s clothes and there's Vision just like in the same like sweater and all that stuff. It's everything I've read about this show looks not that. That's a fan thing. But if you can't find it may have been like it was a low quality photo. Not that one either. Trust me, you would know this one because it looks like I Love Lucy.
Well, considering Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen, the main quote they kept saying was surprising and weird. Surprising, and both of them just kept saying surprising and weird. And I was like, you've said weird so many times.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, it feels like Dick Van Dyke Show. But it's Vision but like, I call it something else. I don't know. It just bothers me.
To your point, Jeff, if that was announced in the same batch as Hawkeye and all the other shows, it'd be like, I don't even have time for that. So it was good because then this is like, you're already excited about Disney Plus, and it's like, oh, and then when those shows, and some of them are just limited series, some of them might not get a second season, but they're like, oh, but we got all this other stuff. Yeah, so it's like, great, we have all this stuff that we're gonna get. We're not even gonna talk about non-Marvel stuff that they're gonna have. It's like just the Marvel stuff alone. It's like, how can you not spend $6 a month?
What really excites me about Moon Knight is that is the first character that they've said they're doing a Disney Plus series for that has nothing to do with the movies. Like She-Hulk, you have Hulk from the movie.
Sure.
Miss Marvel, you have Captain Marvel. All WandaVision, Loki, like they're all built from the movies. But Moon Knight is just like, here's a character out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm a lone psychopath. Watch what I can do.
I almost guarantee you Mark Ruffalo will be in She-Hulk. Probably just for one episode. But he'll show up because he has to origin story.
They've already announced that,
Did they? I missed the last
one.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I missed that. So that's great.
Teased it. Feige teased that Bruce Banner was going to make appearances in a couple different things.
And he said,
I wonder which
She-Hulk, he already said, yes, Mark Ruffalo is going to be in it.
So who's to say it's not going to be Ed Norton? I'm just saying.
Ed Norton is just like in the background. He's the bus driver.
It can't be Bill Bixby because he's dead. But just saying. Go ahead. That was it.
The other thing that I read today that makes me really excited for watching these shows is that Disney announced that all of their shows are going to be they're not going to be season releases. They're not binge watches.
They're one episode at a time.
They're going to release them on a weekly basis.
But the thing is, I don't know if I like it.
No, I love it because like this is going to bring back. It's event television. Like think about the fun that we have while Game of Thrones was airing, and you got to go to work the next day and be like, I'm not talking about the quality of the last season.
Maybe we had fun.
What your feelings on that are, but even when they weren't great episodes, you could go and be like, oh, I love this and this, but I hated this and this. And the conversation was so much fun. You could go into
work and say, hey, could you see anything on Game of Thrones last night? No, I couldn't either. But no,
and you can yell at your friends for being overly judgmental about lighting.
Do you have HBO Go? No, but I just watched my TV off, and apparently it was the same thing you guys saw, so it's fine.
And look, I like some stuff being binged, but when you do get a show that is released week to week, it's like it's not as exhausting. We're like, no, I'm behind everyone else. And
the thing is I want some of them to be that way, and some of them not. Because like you look at Glow, and if Glow was every week, I would be like, wait, what? I forgot what happened last week. Because some of these are like detail oriented. Like some of these I want to binge. Like when I had, and I don't want to talk about DC on Marvel because everyone's going to be like, we
usually do it. You're fine. We do that all the time.
Lighter on fire.
We won't be mad.
But like
We like that too.
I love Doom Patrol. I would have liked it better if it was a binge show because there were certain things that I went back when I rewatched it as a binge.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh man, the details in this that are so good, and there were certain things that I forgot week to week.
I binged Titans after the fact, and if I'd watched it week to week, I would have been infuriated.
And I feel like there's certain
I hated
things
Robin.
like I wish. Amen, man. But there's certain things that I'm like, I feel like some of these, like I honestly think What If shouldn't be week to week. I think it should be a binge show. It should be like a Twilight Zone
I could
release,
see
like,
that for that one, but I think that these other ones. Look, here's what they want you to do. They want you to stay subscribed for 6 weeks.
That's true.
And then for another 6 weeks. I understand that
I'm
business
like,
model.
you got 8 of these sons of man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Instead of doing like, wait, it's like, oh, it's there? Great. That's my free week.
But it's also
whatever.
like
What were you
there's
gonna
something
say,
that's
Zach?
only 6 weeks.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just think about the difference. Like, I could talk about Game of Thrones with tons of people in the course of a week, but I watched Stranger Things 3 over like when it aired over the summer, and I only was able to talk about it with like the person I watched it with because
but like how
I didn't know
many
where
people do you think
else.
are really kicking down the door to be like, let's talk about Moon Knight? Did you see Moon Knight last night? Like,
amongst my people.
Tune into this show in 2022, and that's what you're going to see. Let's just move on. Now, on Thursday, Zach and I and our friend Xia, who obviously is not here tonight, she's on assignment, as they say, but we'll talk a lot more about these things. There's a little bit of movie news that we'll just touch on very quickly because we want to make sure people know about it. Black Panther 2, we don't have a title. We have a release date for May 6, 2022. And the treatment is done. And honestly, I don't give a shit because it's so far off. Great. That's nice that you told us what it is.
Saying, Christian,
I don't have enough bandwidth to care about Black Panther 2 in 2022.
I do.
In about a year and a half, I'll be so excited for it. Whoa. Tell me more. Don't just tell me that it's coming out. There's too much stuff for me to be excited about. I don't care about that.
I needed that, and it was just an exclamation point. It was just all I needed. It was a check mark. It was everything. Yeah. And it was great to know that there's a movie, Black Panther movie coming in 2022.
We knew it was coming.
But hey, that that also gives me 2 years to get in that movie because they're shooting in 2021.
Right, now you're talking.
So that's where I'm at.
Now you've put it into perspective.
So I got 2 years. We're making this happen.
He hasn't even written the script. It's just a treatment.
Right.
So that was the part where I'm like,
I got you. Drop the name at San Diego. I wish they'd given us a tiny bit more because this felt like, well, we gotta plug a movie because of bad stuff happening.
Considering the way that they did it when Feige was like, all right, what can you tell us? Can you give us a title? Can you give us like a first act? And they're like, we can give you a date. And I was like, this joke didn't play as well as I think you thought that it was going to.
Yeah, like if they given us
we're all rabid freaking animals that want every bit of info.
A title would have been all I needed.
Yeah.
But like
Black Panther, claws are coming out. Like, just something. Give me something.
Do you think it was forced because of the Spider-Man news and all the backlash?
No, I think they really wanted something, and it was all they had. You know what I mean? I think that they were hoping for more, and that's like, well, that's all we're at.
Maybe they were hoping to approve a title by D23, but they just didn't get there.
And they're like, no, you're not going
with that title. If they're only at treatment, they might not even have approved a storyline yet.
Yeah.
What if it's Black Panther 2, Love and Panther? Let's talk about Eternals. There's been a lot of rumor about...
only Shuri, and we're all like, take my money.
Give me Black Panther 2 Under the Sea, and you all know what that means.
Yep.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm already there.
Here's what we know on the cast for Eternals, and as I said, Zach and I will talk more about this on Thursday. We knew Angelina Jolie was in it. She's going to be Thena. Gemma Chan as Cersei, I think Cersei is not what I think we were expecting. And that's interesting because she was already in Captain Marvel. But I mean,
she was blue there.
Exactly. She was blue, and they cut most of her scenes. So it's like, it's fine. You can come into this. For like a day, the big rumor was Kit Harington is going to be Wolverine. And I was hoping to do a big chunk of this show on that. And then, no, he's Dane Whitman, the Black Knight. And I'm like, great, I love the Black Knight. So I'm perfectly happy with
that. Anybody was like just talking, and they were hanging out, and they were like, and then Cersei, and they're like, Cersei, like Game of Thrones, let's get that Game of Thrones kid.
I think.
Like, I feel like it was just like,
This felt like they were like, oh, we're going to have Dane Whitman in the movie. We needed like a Kit Harington type. And then somebody's like, we could just get Kit Harington.
Like, what?
But my question is less for the movie side, but more for like him and his agents that are like, can you can you get him something that's not like swords and sorcery characters? Like he's already super typecast in that. You don't need to hammer it home.
Like her big announcement was she was like, I had no idea Kit Harington was in it. And I was like, how is this news? And they're like, did you know? And she's like, no, I know very little about the movie that I'm in, apparently. I was like,
that already is like shooting?
Yeah.
Well,
then just again, her scenes.
Here's the thing. She's also a great actress. She's probably lying.
Oh,
very true.
Yeah, that's true.
Legit.
Just ask Brad Pitt. We also have Richard Madden as Icarus, Kumail Nanjiani as Kingo, Lauren Ridloff as Macquarie, Brian Tyree Henry as Fastos, Salma Hayek, we knew she was in it, as Ajax, Leah McHugh as Sprite, and Don Lee as Gilgamesh. That's so many characters. We don't have time to talk about it all on this show. So tune in on Thursday for Marvel movie news, and we will give you that movie news. There's also, we're going to go back to Disney Plus because we got some news about an already announced show, which is that Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to have John Walker, a.k.a. U.S. Agent, a.k.a. at one point was Captain America when Steve Rogers, one of several times where he could not be Captain America, and he went around as the captain. So Steve Rogers at one point was in the black uniform that you see on the right. That ends up being the uniform of U.S. Agent, and that is where we will see Wyatt Russell of Black Mirror. We all know Wyatt Russell. Everyone in the world had to look up, who's this guy? Wyatt Russell's like, wait, who's Wyatt Russell? Oh my God, it's me! I'm in this show. So, I don't think he looks like it, but if you go to the other photo that we have, Ryan, he's on the red carpet with Agent 13. Emily, is it Vandekamp or is that the bread company? It's Van Camp, right?
It's Van Camp.
Yeah, I almost called her Vandekamp.
From
like, no, that's
Revenge.
From Revenge, yes.
We can finally know what Sharon Carter thinks about the fact that she made out with Cap and then he went back in time and hooked up with her aunt again.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And
there was a thing of Revenge too, though, where she would like order the Johnny Walker, which I thought was funny because I was like, now you're with John Walker. What?
What?
Whoa.
And then just some minor news. Kate Herron's going to direct the Loki series for Disney Plus. Matt Shackman is going to develop WandaVision. That's also 6 episodes. That's just sort of odds and ends. Now, we did get a teaser for
Do you think they got a package deal with Game of Thrones?
Like I think so.
We'll take Kit Harington, throw in Matt Shackman.
It's like a baseball trade. You have to take a few of them, and then they've traded some other ones. And it's going to move around. But there was a teaser for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. final season, which was cool to see, but it didn't answer any of the things that we wanted to know, which is Sharon Carter going to be, is Peggy Carter.
Peggy.
Sharon Carter would be super confusing. Is Peggy Carter going to be in that season? But it did show, it's like, well, here they are in the past. But it was cool to see anything because they had like, put the effects into it. It wasn't just, like, here's some dailies.
They've wrapped on the season. They've already shot the whole thing.
I know.
We just don't get it until next summer. It was interesting. This week, Haley Atwell said that she feels like she's done playing Peggy Carter.
But then had her in What If, where they were like, you can have the super serum, and she's like, I'm in, I'll do this one.
That image that they put out of Peggy Carter as Captain...
Captain Britain.
Are they calling her Captain Britain?
Okay. I think they are going to call her Captain Britain, because if they're like Captain America, and she's like, I'm not.
I mean, she's literally got the Union Jack on the shield.
On the thing.
But I just didn't know if they would give her the Captain Britain name or save it for somebody else. But Captain, yes, there it is. I lost it a little bit. Like, a part of me was just like, oh. And that's what I did out loud when I saw that image. But yeah, it's just like everyone who's ever listened to me on any Marvel.
Because all of us lost our minds. We were like, give us more Haley Atwell. Yeah. Give us Haley Atwell and give us nothing. And they're like, we'll do everything we can. We don't hear she's in a suit.
I mean, I've been no stranger or liar to the fact that I have a huge crush on Peggy Carter and Haley Atwell.
And
separately.
By the way, Ryan in the booth will agree with me. If you love Haley Atwell, you should see her in Blinded by the Light, where she plays an English teacher for a young Pakistani boy in England who is obsessed with Bruce Springsteen.
She's a superhero to many.
I didn't even know she was in it when I sat down to see the movie, so I was very excited to see her. So there you go. So now in theaters. Did you like that, Ryan? I worked the plug in.
I absolutely love
All right.
that.
I didn't have time to, about Eternals. I just think that it's so freaking dope what they're doing with Lauren Ridloff, how they're going to make the character Makari, who was this white man, now a deaf woman, and they're using a real deaf actress. I just thought was super dope.
I do think that that's great. great. Yeah, we talked about that. That was
Blinded
a
made
little
me
while
think
ago.
of deaf, which is not great, but
you didn't have to tell nobody.
Hey, what up?
That's all right. No, just being upfront.
It's all right.
Shout out for representation.
So, we're excited about that season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they just gave us one little scene that didn't have any of the leads in it.
Me an episode that wraps up Agent Carter season 3. That never happened.
Well, let's see what
but
we
we'll
get.
watch it because we're all like, is it only flashbacks? How is she in this? What is happening?
I'll take anything.
There's obviously a lot of people talking about Spider-Man this week, and
Why?
there was some Spider-Man news at D23. One, Marvel's Spider-Man returns September 8th to Disney XD with a Superior Spider-Man 5-part story. So cool. It ended, basically, this is like a year-long break in the season. Doc Ock had taken over Peter Parker, and he is going to now be Spider-Man. We just had to wait a year for it. And season 3 of Marvel Spider-Man will air next spring, titled Spider-Man Maximum Venom. People love Venom. Some of us might be exhausted of Venom, but I get it. It's probably going to be fun. And then, thank you, Eminem. And then in 2021, Disney Junior will have Spidey and His Amazing Friends. This is a series for preschoolers. And that'll be my excuse for watching it because by that point, my son will be 5.
You're also getting for little kids, you're getting Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Yes, you are getting that. But I'm super excited about Spidey and His Amazing Friends because, as I've talked about before, my introduction to Spider-Man was the Spidey Super Stories on the Electric Company, but then Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends from the 80s. That was where I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love this guy. And oh my God, Iceman's an Omega Mutant. So obviously I was it's a little bit of an inside joke.
Oh my goodness.
But so
There's Iceman.
This is great Spidey news. And then there's also Spidey news because they did some theme park announcements about Avengers Campus, which I was actually at California Adventure and I saw the big hole where it's going to be. They are not far along. They have built almost nothing for this. So don't be too excited to check out Avengers Campus anytime soon. The little video that they showed at D23, it's just like, coming soon. It was almost like coming eventually. But there's some cool concept art, some things that you see, and one of them actually has Spidey in it. So you always have to remember that what's going on with Sony and Disney, that's just movies. They still can do the cartoons. He can still be in the theme parks. He's still in the comics. Spidey's going to be fine. Don't worry about Spidey.
It's just Tom Holland.
It's just Tom Holland. But Tom Holland...
But he's fine, too.
Awkwardly had to be there to promote the Pixar movie that he's in. But he just said, like, oh, it's been crazy. And in an interview with People Magazine, he basically said that, yeah, I just know we're going to still make Spider-Man cool. And, maybe we'll make him even cooler or whatever. He gave, like, a good answer.
They're never going to tell him any secrets. It's Tom Holland. He spoils everything.
Yeah, I know. I think that the whole thing might just be to trick Tom Holland. Like, to just pretend that Sony and Disney aren't working together. It's like, just so he doesn't ask any questions.
This is what you get for live streaming on Instagram.
He did tell the crowd that he loves them 3,000. So it's like, oh, we already loved you 6,000. Like, how? I don't know.
Don't give me that.
Yeah.
Don't say that to me.
One Dragon Ball Z person in the back is like, over 9,000. And we're like, stop saying numbers.
And one other cool image that we saw, I didn't see it till today. I don't know if it went out yesterday, but it's a poster for Black Widow. And again, we'll talk about this Thursday on Marvel Movie News on Popcorn Talk. But if you can zoom in on the right, you can see David Harbour as Red Guardian, not Taskmaster.
Who's Taskmaster?
Right, exactly.
So many questions.
I know, so many questions. And apparently there's leaked footage out there, but I didn't see it, so I'll say that that's the reason why I won't talk about it. But
I didn't see the leak either, but I did see the white costume that they had on display there. And on Thursday on Marvel Movie News, we'll get into everything that implies.
I know that we're essentially out of time. I do want to give a minute or two to both Elaine and Jeff to talk about the Sony-Disney breakup in Spider-Man. Zach and I talked about it at great length last week. And I did promise them that they would get a chance to talk about it. And we just, we chatted so much about all this other stuff. But I wanted to just give you a moment. And do you not have enough time to talk about it now, Elena?
Vent your feelings.
Look, as soon as it was announced, I said my feelings on Twitter, and everybody attacked me. And then
I unfollowed
3 days later, I was like, I'm not going to say I told you so. when all these articles came out, I was like, I'm going to tweet it. And then I just linked all the articles. So, what up, inappropriate gestures that I'm making, but I'm not really because this is a family-oriented. Read between the lines, y'all.
So, what did you say that got so many people upset?
Here's the thing. Everybody was like, Sony is the worst. Let's all burn our Walkman or whatever everybody's like angry about.
Yeah,
so
even Star-Lord burned his Walkman.
Yeah,
that's how upset he was.
Okay, guys, like, whatever, settle. This is clearly Disney, like, strong-arming Sony because they had a pre-existing contract with a 3-movie deal with, and they're like, hey, I know we're taking 100% of all of the merch, which is already a huge thing that we've been talking about, how that has, like, swayed creative decisions based on merchandise. We're taking 5%, but that doesn't really work for us, so now we're going to take 45% more than that.
Yeah, or whatever, like, allegedly. Yeah,
50%, basically.
Even if it's 20, it's crazy.
We'll pay some of the production costs, but anybody who looks at it's a business. It's like, obviously, your investment costs are not going to equal your return. Otherwise, why are you doing it? The whole point is that the return is supposed to be more.
Just as an aside, I once saw the line-by-line budget for Star Trek Into Darkness, and it's insane. You just have no idea what they spend on it. Just the line that was catering. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But anyway, so.
But they end up, what they make off of it, like Sony, if they were to take that deal for their highest grossing property that they own, they basically would go out of business and Disney would be able to buy them up and basically be able to expand their monopoly.
Maybe that was the plan.
It seems like that was kind of like a little bit of the long term where they were like, look, this is a win-win for us because the government isn't shutting down any monopolies right now. This is the time for us to buy up everything that we possibly can before it gets busted up because theoretically, even if they were able to monopolize now and not have it busted up for 10 years down the line, that would be billions of dollars that they would be able to make off of these deals. So Sony, I feel, was in the right to be like, no, you can't have this ridiculous thing that you're asking. And they're like, well, we'll take Kevin Feige and we'll just F off. And Sony's like, I wish you wouldn't do that. And Disney's like, we'll do it.
Yeah, I'll let Jeff have the last word. My thought is that at some point they'll figure something out. There might be a Spider-Man movie that comes out as not part of the deal. But here's the thing. Disney got to have Spider-Man in 3 huge movies,
yes.
Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. And they want him for Avengers 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. They want him so much.
But it felt like it was they were intentionally trying to change the narrative to make it seem like Sony was the bad guy.
Right.
And the fact that it was accidentally leaked with all of this stuff, and then it wasn't until Sony was able to go through all their publicity channels to respond.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is a clear case of, like, this is a huge thing to look at historically because this is showing how controlling the narrative can frame these business deals and can lead to some serious decisions.
And Jeff, your thoughts on this?
I'm not on either side. I'm not on Sony's side. I'm not on Marvel's side. I'm on the fan side on this.
Yeah.
And I just want Spider-Man in the MCU.
Cop out.
No, that's
no, but you want him there.
No, because I definitely see that Marvel is being a little too stingy. They're trying to ask for too much.
Sure.
But I also don't want Spider-Man just on Sony and just playing with Venom and everything. Like, I get that.
And Morbius.
All right. No, but like I get like there's a lot of storylines he can play with and everything in Spider-Man and Spider-Verse and all that. But I want him with the Avengers. They build him up to be the next Iron Man, or play that lead role. I want to see that. I want to see the payoff for that. And I just want to do it for the fans. I'm not on either side. I'm on the fan side.
You're on Team Jeff. And would you also like to be cast in that movie? Do you want to put yourself out there?
I mean, I am wearing a Miles Morales shirt.
Yeah,
so if they do want a Miles Morales, I will be taller than Tom Holland. But he can rock a box. So there's that.
Look, Tom Cruise is in movies all the time, and he's like 4 foot at last I heard.
Apple boxes exist.
There's financial reasons why the deal doesn't make sense, like working together on both sides. It sucks, but that's just like financial. Like, these are companies, and they're billion-dollar companies. So we're like, screw you and your problems, billion-dollar companies. Yeah. But we just.
But give us our Spider-Man.
They both win. Both companies win, and the fans lose.
Yeah. No, I think that and they'll figure something out for sure. In any case, that is more time than we had for this week. Thanks for giving us a few extra minutes. And this show, Marvel TV Weekly, will not be on next week. Happy Labor Day, everyone. And we'll be back the week after actually on Thursday or Friday afternoon. Stay tuned. You'll find we'll have probably have an interview then. But the show won't be on Sundays at 9 for a while because the simple reason is there's no Marvel TV till December. So we're going to still do the show, but it's going to be a slightly different format. So as they say, stay tuned. Until then, Elena, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Elena Jordan and on Instagram at Elena J. Jordan. And you can find me doing the Preacher after show immediately after this.
Like 4 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And Jeff, where can people find you?
On the Young Justice after show on Tuesdays.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully in a couple years, either on Black Panther or Spider-Man movies.
I say both, by the way.
I mean, I'm down for both.
That's fine.
Because, you know, Sony, Marvel, they're going to be splitting. And then at Jeff Will Jr. on all your social media platforms.
Zach Wilson.
All right, you can check out Marvel Movie News on Thursdays for more Marvel talk, and check out my other podcast, Ships in the Night. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at ShippingPod. We take random characters from different universes and we get them romantically together. It's called Ships in the Night, and it's super weird.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. Thanks so much, everyone, and until next time, Excelsior.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.